My name's Nathan, and I live about 40 minutes outside of St. Louis in a town where the barbershop knows your dog's name and neighbors pretend not to watch when your trash bins stay out too long. My wife Lauren and I had what looked like a great marriage from the outside. Polished. Routine. We went to the same grocery store every Sunday, did movie nights on Thursdays, and posted anniversary selfies that got all the obligatory couple goals comments. But behind closed doors, things had changed. Subtly at first. Almost invisibly. But if I'm being honest with myself, the signs were always there. It started the night we had a dumb argument in the kitchen. Something about a receipt. I'd asked if she remembered buying the olive oil I needed for the chicken I was prepping. She said she had, and I pointed out it wasn't in the bag. The exchange turned sharp fast, too sharp for something so small. Her voice got defensive, her eyes flicked to her phone, and just like that she shut the conversation down. I forgot my car keys at the office, she said abruptly, snatching her purse from the counter. I need to grab them before security locks up. It was the way she said it, like she was reciting a line. Like she was waiting to see if I'd question it. Her tone was clipped, distracted, like her mind was already somewhere else. I nodded, didn't press, but the minute the door clicked shut behind her, I just stood there. Frozen. There's something primal about gut instinct. You don't think. You just know. And in that moment I knew something wasn't right. I couldn't explain it. I wasn't trying to be paranoid. I just felt off. And I did something I'd never done before. I grabbed my spare keys, left my phone on the counter, and followed her. No jacket. No plan. Just a cold weight in my chest that refused to go away. She drove east toward downtown. Not the direction of her office. Not even close. She merged off the highway, rolled through the city, and turned into a gated neighborhood I didn't recognize. Big homes. The kind with private security and high hedges meant to keep people like me from seeing inside. She parked near a white stone mansion at the end of the block, its windows glowing gold, music spilling out into the night. Valets lined the entrance. A party was underway, clearly upscale, clearly invite-only. I pulled up half a block away, lights off. From where I sat, I could barely see her step out of the car. She paused by the front door, adjusted her dress in the reflection of a parked BMW, and smoothed her hair with a care I hadn't seen her take in months. Then she smiled. That was the moment that hit me hardest. She looked excited. Not nervous. Not anxious about having left her keys at work. She looked like someone walking into something she'd been looking forward to all week. She disappeared through the front door without hesitation. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I sat in my car for 22 minutes. I remember because I watched the clock change every minute like a prisoner counting time. I told myself she'd come back out alone. That this was all a misunderstanding. That maybe it really was work-related. But when the front door opened again, she didn't come out alone. A man followed her, mid-40s, maybe older. Tall, confident, suit sharp enough to slice. He was the kind of guy you know runs the room before he even says a word. His hand rested on the small of her back like it had been there 100 times. She didn't flinch. She didn't step away. She leaned into it. Then he kissed her. Not on the lips. Just above her temple. A soft, deliberate kiss like it belonged to a routine. And she laughed. That laugh? It gutted me. It wasn't forced or nervous. It wasn't the kind of laugh you give when you're trying to cover something up. It was real. Happy. Warm. A sound I hadn't heard from her in weeks, maybe months. In that instant, something shifted in me. My chest went hollow. My hands gripped the steering wheel, but I couldn't feel them. My thoughts didn't race. They just stopped. Like someone hit pause on the part of my life I thought I understood. I didn't take a photo. Didn't jump out of the car or start yelling or confront her like the movies always show. I just sat there. Watching. Absorbing. I watched as he opened the passenger door of a dark SUV. Watched her slide in gracefully like she belonged there. Like she'd done it before. Then he got in beside her and the car disappeared into the night. I stayed parked for a while after that. Long enough for the valet to start noticing me. Long enough for the temperature to drop and the windows to fog slightly. Long enough to realize I couldn't keep pretending. Something was happening. And whatever it was, it had already been happening for a long time. When I finally drove home, the silence in the house felt different. Heavier. Like it knew. Her coat still hung by the door. Her mug still sat on the counter, lipstick print perfectly intact. The bed was made. Her scent still lingered in the hallway. But she wasn't coming back to me tonight. I didn't sleep. Just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering when it all started falling apart and how I'd been too blind to see it. Because now I couldn't unsee any of it. And I had no idea what to do next. The morning after I followed Lauren, she walked through the door like nothing happened. Hair down, coffee in hand, coat draped over her arm. She said something about traffic on I-64 and how her colleague Jessie spilled red wine on her blouse, so she crashed on her couch to avoid driving home looking like a crime scene. She even laughed a little when she said it. I nodded. Said cool. Pretended I hadn't watched her walk out of another man's arms the night before. Something shifted in me that day. I didn't confront her. Not yet. But everything changed. I began to watch. And when you start looking, really looking, it's incredible what you start to notice. First was her phone. Lauren used to leave it anywhere: kitchen counter, nightstand, wedged between the couch cushions. But suddenly it became an extension of her hand. Always face down. Always locked. She started using Face ID after 6 years of swearing she didn't care about passwords. Then the calls. She'd step into the other room to answer them. Sometimes she wouldn't come back for 20 minutes. Sometimes she'd say, "It's work," but I could hear the tone in her voice, low, soft, playful in a way it never was when she talked to clients. New project, she told me. Big deal. All hands on deck. I didn't believe her. She started working weekends. Saturday morning runs to the office that used to be rare became routine. The team needs me, she said. But when I offered to bring her lunch, she declined. It's just chaos in there. Don't bother. Then there was the makeup. Lauren's always been naturally beautiful, the kind of woman who could wear sweatpants and still look put together. But she started doing full glam on Saturdays: foundation, eyeshadow, bold lipstick, and I'm not talking Dr. Asterisk store stuff. I'm talking $60 palettes and lip liners that came in velvet bags. For work. She also bought new lingerie. I only found out because the tags were still in the trash. Bras with names like Sultry Whisper and Midnight Temptation. We hadn't been in Asterisk Mate in over a month. And now suddenly she was upgrading? Got them on sale, she said casually, folding laundry when I asked. For yourself. I pushed. She smiled without looking up. Sometimes you just want to feel good under your clothes. You wouldn't understand. She was right. I didn't. Then came the girls' dinners. Out of nowhere, her social calendar filled up. Dinners. Brunches. Spa days. Nights that ended at 1 a.m. with her phone on silent and her heels in hand. She'd come back glowing. Not just smiling, glowing. Like she'd just come back from falling in love. And every time she'd return, she'd do this thing: walk straight to the bathroom, lock the door, and run the shower. Even if she wasn't dirty. Even if she'd taken one that morning. She'd scrub herself like she was rinsing off a memory. Then she'd climb into bed next to me and sigh like she was doing me a favor. One night, around 2 a.m., I heard her whispering in the kitchen. I stayed upstairs, listened. Laughed. Not hers, his. Through the speaker. Quiet, low, smooth. She was pacing. I could see her silhouette from the hallway. I know. I miss you too, she said. Pause. I wish I could stay longer next time. I backed away before she caught me. My heart was thudding in my ears. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't sure if it was rage, panic, or just a sense of waking up to something that had been happening for longer than I dared to admit. She was living a second life. And I was just background noise in it. A few days later, I tested something. I asked her to go away for the weekend, just the two of us. I said I missed her. Said I wanted to reset. I picked a quiet lodge near the lake. She blinked, caught off guard. Said she'd check her schedule. 2 hours later, she came back with a forced smile. Sorry, babe. Team retreat that weekend. Can't reschedule. I nodded, pretending to understand. But I already knew. The retreat wasn't real. There would be no lakeside lodge. Not with me, anyway. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed beside her, listening to her soft, even breathing, and felt like I was lying next to a stranger. I remembered the early days, our road trip to Asheville, how she used to sing off-key to every song, how we once danced barefoot in the rain just because we could. I remembered how she used to reach for my hand in her sleep. That was gone now. She hadn't touched me in weeks. Not even accidentally. I found myself looking at her through new eyes. When had she stopped laughing at my jokes? When had she stopped asking about my day? When had her eyes started scanning the room behind me when I talked? There's this moment that happens in every relationship where you realize you're the only one still fighting for it. And once you know that, everything changes. One night, I heard her crying in the bathroom. Quietly. The kind of cry where you try not to make a sound. I thought for a second it might be guilt. That maybe, just maybe, she was breaking down because she knew she was hurting me. That maybe she'd come out, confess, say something, anything that would give us a chance to fix it. But she didn't. She walked out, dried her eyes, and when I asked what was wrong, she just said, allergies. I said nothing. I couldn't. The next day, she posted a photo of her coffee cup on Instagram. The caption said, "Some mornings are harder than others. Choose peace. #hashtag self-care." I stared at that post for a long time. It wasn't meant for me. None of it was. That night, she didn't come home at all. She texted around 11:42 p.m. said she was staying at Claire's place because they got wine drunk and she didn't want to drive. Claire lives in Brentwood. I called her. She picked up after the second ring. "Hey, Nate. Everything okay?" "Yeah. Just wondering if Lauren's still with you." Pause. "She left around 10. Said she was heading home." "Why?" My blood turned cold. "No reason," I said. But I knew. I finally knew. That was the night everything shifted for good. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't insecure. I wasn't controlling. I was right. And now, I had to decide what to do with the truth. The next morning I didn't wake up, I came to. You know that feeling when your body moves before your brain does? That was me. I sat up in bed and stared at the wall like it owed me an answer. The light was pouring in through the curtains, too bright, too normal. Lauren wasn't in the bed. Her side was untouched. Sheets still tucked in. She hadn't come home. I checked my phone. One text. "Lauren, crashing at Claire's again. Early call with the New York team. Love you." I stared at those last two words, "love you," and felt nothing. Just numb. I got up, walked downstairs, and made coffee out of muscle memory. The house was still. Too still. I checked the security cam app on my phone, something I never did before. Our doorbell cam showed nothing from last night. Either she came in through the back or she never came home at all. Then, without even thinking, I opened Instagram. I don't know why. Maybe I was looking for some kind of anchor to reality. Something ordinary to cut through the fog in my head. That's when I saw it. It started with a story from someone we both vaguely knew, an old college acquaintance Lauren hadn't seen in years. She was at the party. The same one from a few nights ago. The mansion in Central West End. The first few clips were innocent: champagne glasses, a view of the skyline, a DJ spinning vinyl records in a massive living room. Then the camera panned to the second floor. Dim lighting. Velvet curtains. A bedroom. At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. Then I saw her. Lauren. My wife. Wearing the blue satin dress I gave her for our anniversary. The one she said was too formal for our dinner. She wasn't alone. She was on the edge of the bed, laughing. Hair down, makeup flawless. A man leaned in, same silver-haired guy from the other night. He touched her knee, whispered something, and kissed her neck. The story cut to the next clip, her lying back, lips on his, hands in his hair. It was all angles and shadows, but there was no mistaking who it was. Then, just before the story ended, a voice, his voice, off camera. "The boss is gonna love this video." I blinked. Replayed it. Over and over. My breath caught in my throat like it didn't know how to leave my body. The story wasn't private. It had already started to go viral. By noon, people I hadn't spoken to in years were texting me. "Hey man, you okay? Just saw something. Let me know if you want to talk." Even coworkers started messaging. One of them actually sent me a screen recording. And that was the moment I realized this wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. This wasn't a drunken mistake. This was orchestrated, recorded, shared. And she didn't look ashamed. She looked comfortable. Happy. While she slept with someone else in a stranger's bedroom, I was at home, folding her laundry and setting her work alarm like a fool. I couldn't breathe. So I did the only thing I could think to do. I walked upstairs, opened her laptop, and sat down at her desk. No password. She trusted me, I guess. That was her first mistake. I opened her messages, her email, her cloud drive. What I found wasn't one affair. It was several. There was Derek, her boss. The man from the video. Dozens of emails, calendar invites titled strategy session, hotel confirmations sent to a burner Gmail she forwarded to herself. Then there was Matt, some architect from Oregon. Met at a conference last fall. Shared a suite to save money. Yeah, right? I found messages with someone named Chris. No last name. Just flirty emails full of inside jokes and half-finished plans. Weekend flights. Venmo receipts for dinners, Airbnbs, concert tickets. It wasn't just cheating. It was duplication. She had entire parallel lives. Coordinated down to the hour. Fake spreadsheets. Drafted reports never submitted. Shared folders labeled 2022 Q3 filled with nothing but selfies and screensh asterisk TS of boarding passes. While I was waking up early to warm her car in the winter, she was texting other men goodnight from five-star hotels. While I was buying groceries and leaving post-it notes that said, "You're doing great," she was deleting call logs and changing passwords. I sat there for hours. Numb. Clicking. Reading. Watching my marriage dissolve line by digital line. And the worst part? She was good at it. Like, disturbingly good. Timing, logistics, excuses, she'd built a life that didn't include me and she'd done it so cleanly that I barely noticed. The only reason I knew it all was because of one gut feeling. One argument over olive oil. I felt like a ghost in my own house. I closed the laptop, set it back where it was, and went to our bedroom. I stood in front of our mirror, stared at my reflection. And I asked myself the question no husband ever wants to say out loud. Was I ever enough for her? The answer didn't come. Maybe because I already knew. Later that night, she came home. Hair up. Casual clothes. No makeup. Hey babe, she said. Kissed my cheek. Sorry I was MIA. Total chaos today. I smiled. Said it's okay. She didn't notice anything. Not the tension. Not the way I watched her. Because I'd become good at pretending too. I was done asking questions. It was time to start planning answers. I didn't explode. There was no dramatic confrontation, no raised voices, no plates thrown against the wall. That would have given her power, the power to twist it, cry, beg, manipulate. Lauren was good at that. She could we asterisk p asterisk nize a tremble in her voice like it was a sk asterisk ll. So I smiled. I kissed her forehead when she came home. I texted her, miss you already when she left for work. I played the role of the clueless husband so well I almost believed it myself. Almost. But behind that performance I was building a different kind of script. The first thing I did was open a new bank account in my name, only one she didn't know existed. I started moving money in small amounts, reimbursements, work bonuses, freelance gigs. Anything that wouldn't raise red flags. I stopped using our joint card and told her I was tracking personal expenses better this way. She nodded, distracted, probably thinking about whose bed she'd be in that weekend. I also froze our joint credit line. Quietly. No alerts sent. Just a subtle block for suspicious activity, I reported myself. It wouldn't kick in for a few days, but when it did, it would hit her like a wall of bricks. Next came the documentation. Screenshot asterisk TS of every email, every photo, every flight confirmation and message. I saved them in a secure cloud folder and backed them up to a flash drive I kept in my guitar case, the one place I knew she'd never check. I found a lawyer. Not local, too many eyes in town, too many connections. I drove over to Illinois and met with someone discreet. Her name was Sandra, sharp as a blade, with eyes that said she'd seen every shade of betrayal known to man. She listened while I laid it all out. I expected her to be surprised. She wasn't. When I finished, she nodded and said, "You'll walk away from this whole." That was the first time in weeks I felt like I could breathe. Because this wasn't just about leaving Lauren. It was about taking back me, the version of me she'd slowly erased. The one who smiled for real. The one who didn't wonder every day if he was crazy for sensing what no one else could see. Sandra helped me build the case. We went over Missouri and Illinois laws, who filed first, who held the leverage, how fault divorces worked when infidelity was proven. We documented her affairs. Categorized everything. Timelines, expenses, violations of company policy. Because Derek wasn't just her lover, he was her boss. Which meant every minute of their affair during work hours. That was company time. And companies don't like scandal. That's when the real shift began. Lauren's workplace had a clean, crisp website filled with press releases and polished smiles. I emailed their HR department anonymously with just enough evidence to open a review. A video link. 2 screenshot asterisk TS. A PDF of a travel expense that matched the weekend she claimed to be visiting her sister. I didn't hear anything for 3 days. Then, on the 4th day, she came home quiet. That never happened. She usually came back loud, talking about meetings, gossip, TikToks. But that night, she walked in, dropped her bag, and went straight upstairs without saying a word. I waited. 15 minutes later, I heard her in the shower. Not singing. Not humming. Just water, steady and silent. That's when I knew. It had started. By the end of the week, she got the official notice. Derek was being suspended pending investigation and she was being asked to submit a statement. She told me over dinner, between bites of grilled salmon, like it was nothing. Total witch hunt, she said. Someone's trying to ruin him. Probably jealous. I just nodded. Weird, I said. Hope it works out. But I knew better. I watched her crumble in slow motion. Her morning routines grew frantic. Her phone buzzed constantly. She started wearing less makeup, not because she was too tired, but because the person she'd been trying to impress was suddenly unavailable. One night, I overheard her in the bathroom again. I can't talk right now, she hissed into the phone. They pulled me from the project, Derek. This is serious. I didn't know if he answered. I didn't care. 2 days later, her access card stopped working. She had to be buzzed in by reception. And that afternoon, while she was still in the office, I got an email from her company. The allegations submitted regarding inappropriate conduct have been reviewed. Appropriate actions have been taken in accordance with company policy. The matter is now considered closed. I checked the business page that night. Derek's name was gone from the leadership tab. Just like that. Wiped. And Lauren? She was fired the next morning. I don't think she saw it coming. She still wore heels that day. When she came home, she sat in the car for nearly 30 minutes before walking inside. Her eyes were puffy. No makeup. Hair tied back like she'd just given up. She didn't say anything. And I didn't ask. We ate dinner in silence. I washed the dishes. She stared at the wall. And somewhere in the middle of it all, I realized I didn't hate her. I just didn't love her anymore. I didn't need revenge to feel better. I didn't need her to suffer to heal. I just needed her out of my life. But first, I had to make sure she knew exactly what she lost. So I waited. Played my role. Let her keep thinking I was still in the dark. Let her walk around in her robe, sipping wine, watching Netflix while applying for new jobs. She had no idea that her world was already gone. And the moment I dropped the papers in front of her, she'd know it too. She was humming in the shower. That's what finally got me. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not the nights she never came home. The humming. Like nothing had happened. Like she still lived in a world where her husband didn't know she'd dismantled their marriage with her bare hands. Like she hadn't slept with her boss, her coworkers, strangers from business trips. Like she wasn't currently unemployed because of the life she was hiding. She was humming the same damn song she used to play when we'd cook together on Sundays. The one she said reminded her of falling in love. Now it just sounded like nails on glass. I stood at the kitchen table with the folder in my hand. It was thick, not dramatic thick, just weighty enough to make a point. Inside were the divorce papers, signed and dated. Copies of emails, the Instagram story from the mansion, **TS of her messages to Derek, Matt, and Chris. A few printed comments from strangers under the video. Nothing cruel. Just enough to say, this is who you really are now. On top of the folder, I placed a single yellow post-it note. The same kind she used to leave on my lunchbox years ago. Back when she still wrote things like, "You got this," or "Miss you already." This one said, "You're no longer my wife. And this is no longer your home." I didn't sign it. She'd know it was me. No one else would be this quiet about burning her entire illusion down. I packed only what mattered. My documents. My laptop. A few clothes. And my guitar, the one thing that had stuck with me longer than she had. I left before the water even stopped running. I didn't slam the door. Didn't leave the lights on. I didn't even leave a goodbye. Just silence. She called 10 minutes later. I watched her name flash on the screen while I sat in my car at the edge of our street, hands frozen on the wheel. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. "Where are you? What is this? Is this a joke? Nathan?" Then, "Let's talk. Please. You don't understand. It wasn't like that. I can fix this." Then the shift. "You always overreact. You're pathetic. Good luck finding someone who'll put up with you. You just threw away a marriage." I didn't reply. Not once. I deleted the thread. And in that silence I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Peace. It's a strange kind of freedom, leaving everything behind without burning the house down. No lawyers showing up at her job. No social media call-outs. No long Facebook post about finding myself. Just gone. I didn't tell my parents right away. Didn't tell my friends. I just drove. North. Then west. Then wherever the GPS felt like sending me. 3 hours later, I checked into a cheap hotel near a lake and stared at the ceiling for most of the night. Not crying. Not angry. Just processing. I thought I'd feel heartbroken. I didn't. I thought I'd miss her. I didn't. I just felt done. Over the next few days, the fallout started rolling in. Friends called. Mutuals messaged. Some didn't say anything directly, but I could tell they'd heard. The video had been taken down, but that didn't erase it from the internet. Or from anyone's memory. One of her old coworkers reached out to me privately. Said she told people you were controlling. That you didn't support her career. That's why she did what she did. I laughed at that. I'd given her everything, encouragement, late-night edits on her presentations, even rewrote her resume when she wanted to go for that big promotion. I was the support. But I guess rewriting history is easier than facing what you did to someone. She posted a vague quote on her Instagram a week later. Sometimes the people you'd take a bullet for are the ones pulling the trigger. I almost admire the irony. She wanted to be the victim in a story she created. But no one bit. The comments under that post were dry. A few fire emojis. One half-hearted stay strong. Nothing like the flood of sympathy I'm sure she expected. And Derek? He vanished from her feed. No more stories from his office. No more rooftop dinner *TS. No more matching coffee mugs or his and her gym selfies. I guess corporate scandal doesn't vibe with the influencer lifestyle. I checked her LinkedIn. She'd removed her job title. Her open to work banner was live. For a brief moment I wondered if she was okay. If she was eating. If she was sleeping. If she regretted it. Then I remembered all the nights I waited for her to come home. All the mornings I kissed her while she texted another man. All the hours I spent trying to fix a problem she didn't even want solved. And just like that, I stopped wondering. She made her choices. I made mine. And that was the end of us. A week after I left, I moved into a lakeside apartment a friend from college helped me find. It wasn't fancy, 2 bedrooms, linoleum floors, walls that echoed when I walked, but it was mine. And for the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells in my own home. The morning after I unpacked, I set my alarm for 6 a.m. Not because I had anywhere to be, I just wanted to see the sunrise. I brewed my own coffee, black and bitter, and sat on the balcony in a hoodie staring at the still water. No phone. No noise. Just me in a quiet I didn't know I missed. That became my routine. I started running again. I cooked actual meals. Not just frozen stuff or whatever she wanted, my food. I started reading the books I'd left half-finished for years. And I stopped checking her social media. Cold turkey. Every time I was tempted, I asked myself, what are you hoping to find? There was nothing left there for me. Word about us spread slowly, then all at once. Most people were respectful. Some weren't. Mutual friends reached out, a few offering sympathy, some fishing for drama. I didn't entertain it. I just told them the truth. She made her choices. I made mine. Lauren, meanwhile, leaned into the role of the wounded party. She told her family I ran away. That I left without warning. She posted quotes about healing and betrayal like she was the one piecing herself together. But the thing is, people can tell when you're faking it. Her likes dwindled. Her comments thinned out. Even her inner circle got quiet. I heard through a friend that Derek ghosted her after the HR fallout. That she'd been applying to jobs with no luck. No one wanted to touch a scandal. And me? I was thriving in the quiet. For the first time in years, I didn't feel tired all the time. I wasn't waiting for someone to come home. I wasn't questioning my worth every time I got a one-word answer or a fake smile. I was just free. One afternoon, about 2 months after I moved out, I ran into her. Grocery store. Frozen foods aisle. She looked thinner, paler, like someone had drained the color from her life. Her makeup was light, her hair pulled back into a bun she hadn't even tried to make neat. For the first time in years, she didn't look in *mid-18. She looked small. Nathan, she said. Like the word surprised her. I just nodded. Hey. There was a long pause. Her eyes searched mine like she was waiting for something, anger, apology, maybe even a crack in my voice. But all I said was, I'm not angry. I'm free. And she understood. I saw it in her eyes. No argument. No tears. Just the quiet realization that for once, there was nothing left to take from me. I walked away, basket in hand, heart steady. And just like that, I stepped into the next chapter of my life. One where I no longer had to question if I was enough. Because now I was only answering to myself. And that was more than enough.